What's up, everybody? All right. Go for the ride with Jonathan. You might be thinking, wow, what's with the weird camera angle? Why is it bouncing so much? Well, I've had a string of bad luck lately. I'm not going to sit here and bitch about my life. I have a good life and all that good stuff, but I have had some weird things lately. I've had, we had to have the pool liner replaced because a fucking tree fell in it. And at the time, we didn't do the insurance claim, and I won't go into all the details, but it has to do with, well, all right, I'll give some of the details. So there's context. It has to do with that house over there, which has where the horse farm used to be. And I was telling Brian, the owner, for a while, like, hey, dude, you got this big, huge oak tree, like, really big, like 4.5 feet in diameter at the base. Big old tree, leaning over my property and my pool and my shed. And it's like probably close to 45, 50 feet tall. It's just big enough to hit my house if it goes at the right angle. And for years, I'm like, can we at least get rid of that massive branch that's about 5 tons worth of wood hanging right over my pool? Because that thing, I figured, would snap before the whole tree came down. Yeah, we'll get to it. And then the tree comes down, and the whole thing lands in my pool. And he did come over. It took my hill out, cracked the slab around the pool, the concrete, poked a bunch of holes in the liner, did a little bit of damage to the bottom, and smashed my hill, my fence, all kinds of stuff. It was not a good situation. But he had he owns a landscaping company and a pool company, and he had someone over there, like, within 3 hours, a whole crew of guys with chainsaws and tractors and earth movers, and, and it's like, hey, look, I'll take care of it, let's keep insurance out of it. All right. And we patched the pool, because they're like little pinholes and stuff. But over time, they started opening up, and so we go and replace the pool liner. My wife got a good commission check her first month on the damn job. I'm like, I love my job and company and co-workers, but my comp plan has been sucking this year, and I took a big pay cut. Luckily, she got a job at my competitor doing similar things, and her first month on the job, she hadn't even worked on any deals yet. She's still in training, and she gets like a $13,000 commission check. I'm like, oh, that's nice compared to my $600. I went from 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 grand a month to hundreds now. So I was like, hey, I'm very happy for you, but it really irritated me, I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, those should be my checks. But anyway, so she had the money, so she's like, all right, let's go ahead and do that. Within 48 hours then of her paying for the liner and a new pool robot, it was about 8 grand, the air conditioning unit goes out. Evaporator, coil, condenser, everything fried. Just boom, gone. Don't know why. So that's $8,400 that she didn't have. They had to come up with that. Then a week later, maybe it was a week later or the same week, rock hits my window in the Corvette, breaks the front windshield. All right. Last week, go back up to the mountains in the car again, which is the last time I went up there was when the windshield broke. And I'm playing on Wolf Pen Gap at 180 and going around. There's a guy on a Gixxer 750. He was quick. He was fast. And he's on my ass, and I'm making him work for it, though. The Vet's just got so much more grip in the turns. And we get to a little straightaway, and I wave him by, and then I'm chasing him. And stayed about as far from me, just about from here to that truck. And couldn't lose me. And he'd pull away on the little straights, and I'd pull back a bit in the turns, and had a good time. It was actually a fun ride. So then we get to the end of the road. So the run's done. We get to the other end of the road where Vogel State Park is, and I'm like, all right, gonna slow down a little bit. My gauge cluster's telling me that my tires went from normal to warm to hot. It gives pressure and temperature. My dual touch transmission's not overheating, but it's up there. We're really railing, doing all paddle shifting, high RPMs and stuff like that. And so then I'm just going around a turn, and there's this pothole on the very edge. It's kind of on the white line where the road crumbled and fell away, down about 7-8 inches. Didn't see it. And car coming the other way, it was really close to the line, so I'm kind of close to this line because the bed is small but it's wide. And bam, I hit that thing, and I'm like, oh shit, that sounded expensive. And my steering wheel's going wiggle, 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 wiggle. Like, oh no. I look at the rim, it doesn't look dented, but there's something clearly wrong in the front end now. So I get home and I put the thing up on a jack and spin the front tire by hand, and I made a crude like run out gauge with a marker and a little step stool and some duct tape, and I've got a full 1/4 inch of deviation of the wheel going back and forth. I'm like, shit. So I call the insurance company and I'm like, hey, what? And they're like, well, normally it would be under comprehensive if like something fell on your car or road debris, but you ran into the pothole, unintentional or not, and so that's like an accident, so it's covered under collision, and you got $1,000 deductible as opposed to zero on the other. It wasn't the $1,000 that bugged me, it was more of, shit, it's under collision, which means I'm gonna have a Carfax on this, which is gonna diminish the value when I trade it or sell it. Don't want that. So I go over to the dealer and I'm like, hey, they're like, we can get a wheel here tomorrow. And while I'm there, they're like, that wheel took a hit, but they're probably the tire's okay, but you know, you're on the wear bar in the front. Your rears are replaced 2 months ago. You're good. I'm like, son of a bitch. So I'm like, fine, just do it. So it's like $2,300. And when I'm leaving, they're like, the tech thinks there might be something with the back wheel. Did you hit the back wheel? No, I only remember one impact. He's like, he feels something, but we don't have time to do it today. So if you can come back Monday, you got 3 recalls for software updates anyway. I'm like, all right. So I leave, and I still feel it. In fact, it doesn't even feel that much improved. And I notice it's worse when I use launch control, and all the weight would shift onto the back tires. And I'm like, wow, I really feel it now. So I called him, and I'm like, yeah, I need to bring it in tomorrow. I said, there's something, and if the back end is fucked up, I don't want to do damage to the hub or the wheel bearings. So I take it in, and then they send me a video of it up on the lift in first gear, just rolling. My back wheel was mashed. It was oval like an egg. There was a good 3/4 inch of deflection. Now the wheel was turned, so it bent the wheel in towards the center of the car. So it wasn't a dent so much as it bent the rim, so the rim was going down the road like fishtailing slightly. Trying to show you with my hands, thinking I'm on a chin mount, and I'm not. I forgot the camera's down there, which is where we're going. We'll get to that. No, let's go straight. So I'm like, huh? How much is that going to cost me? $1,300 and change for a new wheel. Then I got to do the 4-wheel alignment, all that shit. And I'm just like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. $3,500 by the time it was all said and done. They did get it fixed, but man, what a costly little error there, and I had to eat that cost. So anyway, so then I'm sitting there. That's Thursday. I'm like, you know what? I really want to go. They got my bike Thursday. They're like, hey, the wheel won't be here tomorrow. We'll get it back to you on Friday. So I was like, okay. Well, now they'd given me a shuttle ride home. But I'm at home. My wife's out of town with the truck. I don't have any transportation. Luckily, it wasn't raining, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to go take my bike out. My helmet hangs on the garage. Take it off. I hang it up on the wall next to my jackets. And I'd ridden on Saturday. So between Saturday and Thursday, I had a really nice ARFA 11 Pro with the anti-venom Marvel paint scheme. That's a nice helmet. Yeah, my chin mount. had all my stuff worked out with my microphone, all that shiz. There's a giant bird's nest in my helmet. The visor had been open a little bit. And in 5 days, even though I don't leave my garage door open at night, but I do sometimes during the day, apparently birds had built a helmet. Now, there were no eggs in there, but it was like a full-size, like bigger than a softball. The whole thing was full of stuff and bird shit. And I'm just like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Like, I don't want to have to go buy a new goddamn helmet. I've been hemorrhaging cash. All the cash between my wife paying for the pool, then the whatchamacallit, air conditioning unit, $3,500 for the car, got an $850 electric bill. It's just like, you know, it's like 20 grand in expenses in 60 days. And I'm like, I'm just tapped out. So, I'm like, I don't want to go spend $400 or $500 on another friggin' helmet. Then I remembered, oh wait, I got a barely used Shoei X14 sitting in my my track bag. I've only worn it on track. So I did have to go to Cycle Gear and go get a tinted visor for it for $100. They wanted $229 or something crazy. Plus tax for the chromatic one that changes, you know, photochromatic or whatever. It's like, I'm not paying that for a fucking piece of plastic. I used to buy those for $70 only like 13, 14 years ago for my Scorpion helmets. I'm like, this is crazy. So I just went with the regular tinted one. But I was like, literally, it was like just that day and to add insult to injury. It's like, I just want to go for a ride. My car's in the damn shop for more repairs that I got to eat the cost of. And then my helmet is full of bird shit, nests. I ripped the nest out. I'm trying to wash the liner, and it's starting to, like, some of the foam is coming apart. I'm like, you know what? I'm just done with it. So I threw it in the trash. I went to my Shoei X14. I'm like, all right, at least it's a good helmet. It's fresh. It's only been worn a couple times. But I don't have a goddamn chin mount. It's like, son of a bitch. I go and order a chin mount. They're shipping it from Utah, and it's taken over a week. It's still not here. I ordered a Seiko watch from Nagasaki or something, somewhere in Japan. And it got here through the same carrier, through DHL. From the time I placed the order over the weekend, so I ordered on Friday, I had it in hand on Tuesday. I ordered something from Utah, and it was shipped on the 30th, I think. And here we are on, what, the 5th? It still ain't here. It's not going to be here till Monday. So I've got my Insta360 suction cup mount on my tank, which wobbles around a lot because it's on the plastic shell over the tank, which has some flex to it. It isn't quite as secure as I would have hoped. So we're hoping that we get the image stabilization, you know, is adequate. But and then I've got the microphone wired going through an adapter into my tank bag, and then I've got my wired lav in my helmet that goes down into the tank bag. So hopefully this shit's all working. So that's just my little string of bad luck. It's like just dumb shit that can go wrong. And then you got Johnny here, buys a brand new ZX6R, was loving it for all of 43 hours, and then gets a hole in the oil pan. And the dealer's got it for 3 friggin' weeks. And on the day they call him to say, hey, we got your new oil pan and we're going to start the work, we'll get it to you in a couple days. Later that day, they call him to let him know, oh, and there's a recall on your bike. You shouldn't drive it until probably, you know, by the time we get to it, it might be the end of summer. I'm like, what? He's like, well, I'm going to ride it anyway. If it blows up, it blows up. The chances are, you know, only 1% or less are actually affected. So he buys an M4 exhaust. He's like, hey, can you install it for me? And as I'm installing it, it's falling apart. I'm like, what the fuck? And they realize, oh, he bought some cheap Chinesium one. And the first ride on it, the paint comes off in big sheets. Like just bubbles up and flakes off. It was almost like it wasn't even paint. It almost felt like some kind of vinyl wrap or something. Even though it said M4, I'm like, dude, how much you pay for this M4? You got it from eBay. No, I go, you got a fake one, didn't you? No, it's real. I'm like, what'd you pay? Oh, like 120? I'm like, dude, it's a $450 exhaust. There's no friggin' way. I was like, you bought another goddamn Chinesium. The last one he bought was an SC Project one. The pictures on the web on eBay said SC Project. When he got it, it said Lightning, and they spelled it 2 words: light space ning. I'm like, oh, dude, you got to stop doing that shit. Now he's got the Voodoo on there, which I'm like, not happy about, but it's raspy. Mine's louder than I like. You can say, oh, it's because you're old. Whatever. I feel like it does draw undue attention. I mean, I like the tone of it. It's got a nice growl purr to it. The Kawasaki's got a really good exhaust tone. Thank God that we didn't remove the cat on his, or I would not ride with him. It's just basically an exhaust tip that replaces the muffler box and the stock tailpipe. Luckily, mine has got a D-cat, but it's got a resonator pipe in there. It's got a pre-chamber, a little one from Leo Vinci, that takes that metally rasp like that. This has a rasp to it, like a growl, almost like a triple, like a street triple. It's got a similar exhaust note. But it's, then there's that high-pitched, tinny, rattly kind of rasp, that's what I don't like. His has got that, but he likes it, so let's try to not give him too much grief. I will say the Chris Moore tune smoothed things out. I'm so glad I got the tune with this exhaust, because the quick shifter, the biggest thing, do I notice a power difference? I don't know. It's freaking hard to tell. Even with just the unrestricted tune from Opie, the bike makes so much power. It's like, did I pick up 4 or 5 horsepower in the mid-range? Maybe. According to Chris's dyno, what they typically get, from a stock map versus, slip-on and stuff, there are some mid-range gains in his map. And I feel like maybe there's something there, but it's always hard to separate that from the placebo because it's so much louder. You just associate a screaming engine and noise with speed. Even though sometimes you put a slip-on on and you don't do the tune and you actually lose horsepower, but you think it's faster because it's so much louder. But no, I've seen Chris do the tunes and back-to-back dyno runs and stuff, so I'm sure I probably did pick up some, but it's so beyond the ability. It's like watching the guys arguing about the R9 versus the R6, which I'm still goofing on them because it's like, dude, the R9 is winning races in Moto America and World Superbike. Like, it's proven itself. It's an R6 replacement. No way, man, the R6 is faster, it's got more power. I'm like, doesn't seem to matter on the racetrack, and it sure as shit doesn't seem to matter on the sales room floor, because most companies stopped, Suzuki stopped developing the 600 and 750 because the super sport class was dying. It was dead. So they just stopped trying. They haven't done anything with the bike since 2011. Honda didn't even bother to bring the new 600 CBR 600RR that they have in Europe. Didn't even bother bringing it to the States because super sport stales in the States. People have been going for naked sport bikes. People have been going for beginner bikes. People have been going for adventure bikes. That's what's been selling. So in sales and in racing, clearly the R9 is the replacement for the R6 because it's currently beating it. It's winning against 636s and other 600s in the class. So, But some people just argue, want to go, oh, power. Doesn't matter. R6 might make a couple, and nothing wrong with an R6 other than it's a shitty street bike. But as a race bike, it will go down in history as one of the best of all time. I'm not knocking an R6 on a racetrack, man. It's a freaking weapon. But the R9's beating it. And in sales, they can't make them fast enough. I've never seen one in person at the dealership because they literally, they're gone everybody's on a waiting list. The UK got an allocation of 500, which is more than they sold of any of the R6s in a year, in any time recently. They got an allocation of 500 R9s through the UK dealer network. They were all sold in like a week before they'd ship, like months before they'd even shipped. You're not getting one until next year if you're not on that original list with a deposit. So, but it is nice to see how well the R9's doing. I think it's a brilliant bike. And the R6 or the ZX6R is an amazing bike. I've said it before, I'll say it again. If it had this suspension and this electronic package and the quick shifter and brakes, I would have bought that. Even if it bumped the cost up a little bit, why not get the smaller, lighter, cheaper bike? Yeah, this will kill that thing on a long straightaway, but up in the mountains? Pfft. Nah. That thing will be right on you. This thing won't be any faster. A lot going on this week politically. I'm just not going to get into it. All I'll say about politics as far as mentioning the T word and stuff is I'm smiling a lot this week, last couple of weeks. We'll leave it at that. Ignore all the doom and gloom. Oh my God, Alvin's got kicked off of Medicaid. No, illegals are. They're the ones supposed to be on it in the first place. Read the fine print. Everybody running around. Oh, this is going to kill me. Nana's going to be kicked out of a nursing home. Not unless Nana is like El Nana and she snuck in over the border illegally and has like been dealing drugs or something. Like, you know, it's the people that aren't supposed to be here that are being kicked off the programs. Why? Because Americans are paying for the programs for ourselves and fellow Americans. And so having 11 or 20 million illegals here, many of which get paid under the table and don't pay taxes towards those things, just depleting resources and taking it away from Americans who did pay for them, it's not fair. They should not get a free ride. And if they don't get free rides, it's one less, it's one thing to send them back and put up walls and stuff, but part of the strategy is also to take away the incentives that make them want to sneak in the first place. If we weren't giving away all kinds of free shit, free healthcare and free this and free lunch programs and free housing and debit cards and putting them up in a fancy hotel in New York, and, you know, who wouldn't come here for that stuff? Who wouldn't risk getting caught by ICE? I know I said I wasn't going to political, but that's all I'll be political on. Anyway, I'll have a chin mount by Monday. I'm also thinking about switching up cameras because I'm looking at some videos. I got to do a little more research, but there's the Insta360 Go 3S. Now, it doesn't have as much capability as this, but it does have image stabilization. It's a small little camera that's magnetic. You can kind of stick it where you want it. Giggity. But it's way smaller than this. And there's a helmet mount that mounts inside your visor, which means you can talk. It's a POV camera. I guess also giggity. But you mount it inside your helmet to the left or right of your eyes. It has a plastic tab and this little egg shape, because it's kind of like an elliptical shaped camera with a magnetic that just kind of sticks into the base. But you can take it out of the base. So when you take it out of the base, it is relying on the smaller battery that's in the unit, and it doesn't get to draw bigger power from the bigger battery in the main base unit that is the size of a normal camera. But you can pop it out of that big case and just carry it in your bag and then pop it in after the ride and let it recharge while you're eating lunch. So you won't get as long a run time. That's what I got to see, how good it is, how long you can run it. And it only does 4K at 60 frames. Oh, I'm sorry, at 30 frames. So I've got to see how the video actually looks, because I do like to shoot in 30 frames. God damn it, I can't talk. I do like to shoot at 60, 4K 60. I feel like for fast-paced action, but with 30, you might get a little bit more motion blur. which with 60 you really don't get, which can make the video look a little bit artificial, and you don't get as much of a sense of speed because everything's so clear and distinct. And so a lot of guys shoot at 60, but then they have to go and put on ND filters and play with shutter speeds to get that motion blur to give you that sensation of speed. But I'm like, I don't know, maybe if I do 4K 30 and it's in the helmet and I don't have to worry about the lav microphone, and you can use it on any helmet because it just slides in between the shell of the helmet and your cheek pad, and it sits on, well, if I get it, I'll have to show you. But I've seen some videos of like some pro racers and stuff out on track, and they just slap it in there, and it's inside the helmet with them, which means the microphone that picks up the noise of the engine and stuff is also the same microphone as your voice. So you don't have to have wires, you don't have to have a lav mic, you don't have to deal with any of that shit. You just put the camera wherever you want, and if you want to mount it to the bike, you mount the base like I've got right now with the camera, and you just snap it in there and go do your track day. But if you want it in the helmet, you can use it in the helmet. And that is really appealing to me because I don't have to worry about microphones and all that shit. Just snap it in and go and charge it after each session. But you're on track, they don't let you mount anything to your helmet. I don't know why. They're like, well, if it hits the ground, it snags, it could snap and break your neck. It's like, dude, it's a piece of 3M adhesive and a little piece of plastic. And in Europe, I think you can in some places. But here in the States, most track orgs will not let you have it mounted to your helmet. So then it's mounted to the thing, which means then you got to have a wire if you want to do, you know, if you want to talk while you're riding, do some vlogging, talk about what's happening, whatever. You can't do any of that kind of play-by-play video because it's not POV, but also then you got to run wires from your tracksuit to the camera, which when you're moving around a lot on the bike, I've had it rip the wire out, caught on my knee puck, so it's flopping around in the wind. It's like you got to have enough slack that you can move around without pulling on it and unplugging it or anything like that, but not so much slack that it flies around in the wind. It's a pain. It's hard to do it right. So I'm thinking this other camera, which is only like $230, I can get the cheaper one with the smaller memory card because I got a 512 gig or something like that. I can just slap in there from this camera. Or I'd have two cameras. I could run this camera that you see now on the bike and then do the POV, or have one camera facing backwards. So I don't know. Might be some cool changes coming. That might be an interesting camera for vlogging. And then for like good riding videos or something, maybe use the, I don't know. If anybody in my audience, which by the way, we are like this close, another week or two, we should hit the 10,000 subscriber mark. That's a milestone for me. It won't be, I won't be getting a plaque from YouTube until I think I hit 100,000, which at this rate will be 2037, but oh, what I was saying before about Chris Moore doing the tune, whether I picked up power or not, the thing that really does make a difference is we put the fuel cut back in. And you're like, why would you do that? It makes the on-off throttle transition. Well, Kawasaki's got a weird way of doing the quick shift and auto blip. It cuts spark, it doesn't cut fuel. So normally how the quick shifter works is you push pressure on the lever, it cuts fuel and spark for 70 milliseconds, whatever, to allow the pressure that you're already putting on the lever to continue and snick the gear into the next, slides in between the gears. Well, because they're only cutting spark and not fuel, it's dumping raw fuel into the cylinder. And so it is a little herky and jerky on and off throttle. The problem becomes when the quick shifter does it, it was messing up my auto blip, because when you downshift, it wants to squirt a little bit of fuel in there to blip the throttle to get your rev match. Well, when you disable the fuel cut, it's no longer cutting fuel on 0% throttle. It's squirting fuel in there. So it helps the on-off throttle transition, but the computer doesn't know that or how much. It's just they didn't program it for that. So when you use the auto blip, it's adding fuel. If it needed to add, just to make the math easy, 5 whatever units of fuel to blip the throttle properly to do the rev matching, well, it's adding, they came up with the number 5 based on the fact that you're at 0% throttle, so there is no fuel, so it needs this much. Well, because now there is no fuel cut, it was adding fuel at 0 revs, so that 5 is now being added to the 3 or whatever's there, and now it's got 8, and it's too much auto blip, and it was making it really like lungy. You downshift, instead of rev matching, it would over rev, which made the bike, you downshift and the bike would lunge forward. It was very clunky, and coming into a turn and downshifting, it would like upset the bike a little bit. I didn't like it. And he's like, yeah, you probably want to put that back for that reason. It's just how Kawasaki is. You're better off just having the fuel cut in place and just, you know, learn to be smoother around on-off throttle positions and ride around it than to have it fuck up your quick shifter. I was like, agreed. So he flashed it with the new map and did that. It is so much better. So I'm in 6, and when I downshift now, it's just it's so much smoother and precise, and it sounds lovely. So anyway, that's all I got. Those are the updates. Yeah, we're going to the same place where I was going, Cameron. Mystic Grill. This time Jonathan chose it because he's got these goddamn beer carts from times we would wait for a table at the restaurant. There's like a little beer place or, you know, down on the corner. There's the on-off throttle going because I wasn't paying attention. You just got to not ride at 0 to 0.1% throttle. Change your gear so you're on the gas a little bit. But he's got these beer cards, and then usually you'd order like, you put like 20, 30 bucks on it. And then our table would get called. So he's got extra money. He's like, I gotta drink this before the money expires. So we're gonna head down there, let him drink his beer, then we'll go get a table and eat. Well, maybe if Alex is working, I'll introduce him to her. She's the bartender down there, blonde girl, beautiful. Recently single and divorced. So I was like, Jonathan's single and divorced. Maybe they would like each other. She already likes serving us alcohol, so, you know, that's a plus. That's what you look for in a woman. Or knows her drinks, right? Anyway, that's all that's going on. Try to keep the politics to a minimum. And, yeah, hopefully we'll have come up with a new camera setup that works. At the very least, my GoPro or my chin mount will be here. There's a guy in a souped-up RS7 behind us. I wonder if he'll try to have a go with us. Maybe I should leave the camera rolling another couple minutes. I'd cut this part out. And if he tries to roll, we'll come back. Or maybe it'll be its own video. I don't know. I don't know what I feel like doing. Let's see. Let's see. It's got like an RS7 or an RS6. We're in rider mode, so we got full power. So we're between road and sport. Sport is full power. Only one click of traction control, so it wheelies all over the place. Road holds the wheelies back a little bit more, but it's still full power. So we're in full power, traction control 2. Gives us just a little bit more safety net and traction lift control than sport, but doesn't hold you back quite as much as road. It's a good compromise. see that Audi floor it. Yeah, I thought he would be faster. He wasn't.